All right, and we are now in recording. So welcome all parents for participating with us in our webinar today. So in today's webinar, we're going to look at admissions and especially like preschool admissions and how emotional and social skills are evaluated and nurtured in top private schools. All right. And before we get started, I would like to ask all of our parents, have you ever heard of the term SEL or social emotional learning? Like maybe in campus tours or like when you speak to admissions officers, like have you ever heard of this term before? Like if you have, like please feel free to type in the chat box, type yes in the chat box. So I know that you've you've heard of the term before, like either from admissions officers or school tours. Like yeah, I see some people have heard of SEL in campus tours. And so, yeah, so if you have heard of it, today we're going to cover a lot about SEL and in particular, like how SEL is incorporated in private school education and also their admissions process. And if you haven't heard of SEL, don't worry, we are going to talk about it in today's webinar. All right. And so just to start off, a brief overview of the contents today. So we're going to talk about what SEL is and why it is important. We're going to take a deep dive into how top private schools evaluate and guide students to develop their social emotional skills. And also we'll also give some useful tips for nurturing kids' emotional regulation. All right. And before we get started, so a little bit about myself. My name is Artemis. I've taught in Peck University and Boston University. I have over 5 years of teaching experience with over 900 students taught. And right now, I am a pre-kindergarten teacher at Think Academy, Silicon Valley. And in my current work, I interact with pre-K kids, so like kids who are between 3 to 6 years old, and I interact with them daily. I also get a lot of parent feedback from like parents of pre-K kids, and I get a lot of questions like, what should I do if my kid just wouldn't eat dinner? Like at dinner time, they would just really want to continue playing. They would run around the house, and there's just no way I can get them to sit at the table. And I also get some questions about, hey, Artemis, my kid has like very short attention span and they can easily get distracted. And how can we improve that? And also like parents who have questions about how to teach their child about turn taking and sharing. And like all of these questions are rooted in social
What the
emotional
fuck are you
learning. So
thinking?
like everything is related to their social emotional skills. And this is the main motivation for me to do this webinar today. All right.
A
And
physics
so
major,
getting
but I
started,
know that a grenade
so
this
in
big
today's
is not getting
webinar,
through a hole
we're
this
going to
big.
share our talk and findings, speaking with the admissions officers from these top private schools, Nueva, Tessellations, Hunter, and Stratford. And some common things about some of the schools is Nueva, Tessellations, and Hunter are all gifted schools. And so, please don't draw anything on the whiteboard. Thank you. All right. And so like these are all gifted schools. And so like there's always some kind of qualifications, including IQ test and also just gifted assessments. And yeah, so there's always some qualifications for these schools. All right. And there's also some differences between these schools. So for Nueva, their qualification, it looks at WPPSI 4 for children 5 and under, and this is an IQ test. So and for Nueva, they would really look at kids like verbal expression and also mathematical skills. And then for tessellations, there's the gifted qualitative assessment. So instead of a quantitative assessment like what Nueva uses, the IQ test, what tessellations look for is a qualitative assessment. So tessellations admissions officer would invite psychologists to come over and to do a psychological test on the student to see whether or not the student is a gifted child. And for Hunter, it accepts multiple kinds of assessments. So that includes intelligence and cognitive. And yeah, so there's a lot of and so there's a lot of like different kinds of uh excuse me. Judy, can you please kick people out if they're making noise to the presentation? All right, and so Hunter takes multiple kinds of accepted as kinds of assessments. And then for Stratford, it's different from the other three schools. So Stratford uses a STEAM curriculum instead of gifted education. All right. And so I don't know, like I'm not sure like what parents look at when they first do like research on these schools. So like if you want to share in the chat box, like what sources do you first go to when you first want to get to know a school? Like do you look at social media, or do you look at the school's website? Do you look at news articles? And then for schools' websites, like what would be the first go-to place for you? I'm gonna give you 1 minute and to see if anybody would like to share your thoughts. All right. Yeah, so I see school website. And yes, I also go to school website when I first want to get to know a school. And so when I started off in the Bay Area first, I usually go to the school website, and the first web page that I look at is their academics. So I would look at their curriculum and also their classroom design and just in general, like how teachers guide their students in their class. But then for after I've been in this field for a few minutes, I started to go to their missions page. Yeah, so like I started to look at their missions page because their mission really tells a lot about like the culture of the school and also just the overall environment of the school. And so here I put out like all of the mission statements of all four schools that we listed. And I would like I would want to give like parents a few minutes to like go through these missions and see if you can spot any common keywords or common ideas in their missions. All right. And so like here I underline find the common keyword for all four schools. So like the common keyword is actually like social and emotional skills. So here you can see for New Eva, in the first sentence of its mission, it says that the school aims to foster kids' social and emotional acuity. And for Tessellations, it has social and emotional skills in the first point of their mission statement. And then for Hunter, the social and emotional well-being is also the top priority for them as a school community. And then in Stratford, the first priority of its culture is connection. And what's like rooted in connection is also socialization. So being able to socialize with others and build a happy community. And so like these are all very important. So from these you can see that social and emotional skills are like very important aspect in all top private schools that we've spoken to. All right. And so, like, why is that? Like, why do schools value SEL so much? And so the reason is, like, first, for 3 to 6 year olds, they are still developing their understanding about myself and others. And so having good social emotional skills is their first step of engaging in group activities. So like usually when we apply to preschools, our kids have not yet like been in a classroom environment or in a school environment. And so like when a kid has like a very good social emotional skills, then this kid is more likely to be able to get familiar, get settled in to the school setting, and they would better interact with their classmates and just overall have better learning outcomes. A second important reason is that social emotional skills is the fundamental for future studies. And so like in the future, as we go into learning like academics, like math and science and English, or as we go into learning arts and learning physical education, like all of these, the fundamental is all social emotional skills. So being confident, being able to accept errors and still keep trying after making mistakes. And all of these qualities are rooted in good social emotional skills. And so this is why top private preschools really look at SEL and really put SEL in their education. All right. And then we're going to look at the admissions process of top private schools. So how do top private schools evaluate SEL? And so here we summarized some key aspects of social emotional skills that these schools look at in their interview process. So this includes emotional expression, confidence, conflict resolution, collaboration, emotional regulation, seeking help, empathy, and flexibility. And then now we're going to break down the interview into different parts of the interview and then analyze which aspects of social emotional skills do these parts like individually look at. And so the first part of almost all interviews is always self-introduction. So like when the kid first go into the interview, the teacher would ask, hey, what's your name? How old are you? And then also some general self-awareness questions like what is the favorite thing you do daily, or like what is your favorite toy? And then like in these questions, what the teacher want to see is confidence in expression. So like whether or not a student can confidently tell the interviewer, okay, my name is Artemis and I am 4 years old. And so like being able to express yourself confidently, loudly, and clearly is very important for the teachers to see. And also for these open-ended questions, so like kids at this age, they might not have a set mindset of what their favorite toy is. So maybe one day they like their toy teddy bear the best, and then the other day maybe they like Legos more. And so that is totally natural. And so like when the admissions officer is asking this question, they're also not expecting a set answer. But instead they're looking for some answers that show a clear understanding of your likes and dislikes and also a high level of awareness. So for example, if today I asked students, hey, what is your favorite toy? And then many kids might just say Legos or dolls or Barbie and etc. And then at this time, if a student says, I like Legos because I like to create my own world with it. And so like this, because like giving out a reason why they like this toy, this would really like grab the interviewer's attention because it shows a high level of self-awareness. It shows that you not only that you like Legos, but you also know why you like it. So there's also a solid reason for this, for your feeling of like. And this shows like very high level of emotional expression and also being able to understand yourself fully. All right. And a second part of the interview is a task-based part of it. So usually this includes like reading an article for older kids and drawing a picture or storytelling through picture for younger ones. And so like in these task-based part, usually this is for like 4 to 5 year olds. And then in this process, what the interviewer or the teacher is trying to see is whether or not the kid shows empathy and whether or not they have clear verbal expression. And so like when you look at a picture, what can you tell from the picture? So like who's in the picture? What is their mood? And why do they feel this way? And also like being able to spot details and being able to express like these details with their words is very important. And when we're doing the task-based part, sometimes there would be very hard questions to the kids. So like maybe the interviewer would ask the kid, hey, can you draw a trapezoid? And then some kids, like if they don't know what trapezoid is, some kids might just sit there and be very quiet and not have any response. And so this kind of reaction would not like be preferable for the teacher. So like in the interviewer's perspective, it is okay to not know the answer to something. So like when the interviewer asks you, hey, can you draw a trapezoid? If a kid doesn't know, like something that is very like something that would make the kid stand out among their peer is to actively seek help. So if the kid can say back to the teacher, I don't know what a trapezoid is, or can you tell me what is a trapezoid? Like these would really, am I still sharing? Yes. And so like these would really stand out for the interviewer because like they know that like you, the kid, is aware that like is aware of your own limitations and you're aware that you don't know something and you know that when you don't know and when you encounter a problem that you cannot solve by yourself, you know how to seek help from a trusted adult. At home, it would be parents, and in schools, it would be teachers. And so like in this part of the interview, what the interviewer wants to see in terms of social emotional skills is empathy and seeking help. All right. And so like all of the the above parts, the self-introduction and also the completing tasks part, these mainly focus on teacher to student communication. So in self-introduction, it's the teacher asking students question, and then in the task-based part, it's the teacher giving students tasks to complete. But then there's also another important part of private school interviews that focus more on student-to-student interaction, and that is the free play, or sometimes they say play date part of it. And so in free play parts, like you can see over here, it tests students like overall like abilities in terms of social emotional skills. So you can see there's a well-rounded evaluation on all of the above. And in free play, there's usually tasks that a kid needs to accomplish with their peers. And so like you would be like, maybe I've heard some schools do like group storytelling. So like there would be a picture and then each kid needs to uh like continue the story with one sentence of their likings. And there's also like group activities like, okay, so now like this you like the whole group of kids, like you need to put a doll to bed. And so like in this kind of role play process, like the kids would have a lot of communication and negotiation. So for example, like if they're trying to put a doll into bed, like they might start talking with each other. Hey, usually before I go to bed, I drink some warm milk. And then maybe one kid would say, but I'm allergic to milk, so maybe we can drink some warm honey water. And so things like this, like communications like this, can really show the teacher their level of collaboration and also like whether or not they're able to freely express what they are thinking or how they are feeling. And so breaking down free play into the three key aspects of like what the kids are like expected to know or realize. So the first step, a kid needs to know what they are doing. So you need to know what you need to do like in this free play part of the interview. So maybe you would be like, maybe the only thing you need to do is to play toys, or like maybe there's a certain task that you need to finish with your classmates. And so the first step is always knowing myself, like knowing what I am doing. And then the second step is knowing the surroundings, knowing the environment. So being able to observe what's in the classroom, like are there any kinds of tools that can help me finish my task? And also observing the environment, seeing, oh, I am with other kids, so I have classmates that I need to work with. And so knowing yourself, knowing me, knowing I, and also knowing others is the second step. And then after being able to like realize yourself and others, like this is when like kids will work together to find a solution to complete the task and in collaboration. All right. And then like right now it is application season. So like I get a lot of questions from parents, and many people are worried like because they've seen online about like all of the different things that like past interviews have incorporated. And then some parents might get super nervous, say, hey, but I don't think my kid can do like addition and subtraction within 20, or like I don't think my kid knows like all of the shapes and all of the names for all of the shapes. And so like what do I do? Like what if they don't know something? And so an important thing that parents should know about private school interviews is that like for private school admissions officers, they don't want to see like kids knowing everything. Like it's not that they don't want to see, like they don't expect to see the kid knowing everything, because like even adults have things we don't know. And so like they're just like 3 to 5 year olds, like it's totally normal for them to not know the answer to some questions. But what the interviewers is trying to see is how the kids can handle future challenges and difficulties. And so to summarize this thing into one keyword, it would be potential. So like what the admissions officers want to see is the potential for the kid to thrive in the school community, to be able to rise up amid challenges and keep trying. And even if they fail, even if in the end they still don't know how to do something, they can come to teacher or go to classmates to have someone teach them how to do something. And so having potential to thrive in the school environment is what the interviews really want to see in an applicant. All right. And then why is SEL so important in the admissions process? It is because private schools think that social emotional learning is directly related to the kids being lifelong learners. So like as our kid grow up, they would learn a lot of academic subjects, like they would learn language literacy, they would learn math and science. They might also learn some arts and creativity aspects of it. And then all of these are rooted in social emotional learning. So like I've spoken with some elementary school teachers, and then like they would tell me, hey, like my kid just like my student, if they get a question wrong, they would get frustrated, and then they would refuse to continue trying or continue practicing. Or like maybe there's also some students who would just like really want to do all the questions very fast. And so they wouldn't listen to teacher in class. They would just continue writing and working on the problems on their textbooks. But then the answers that they have would be wrong because they're making careless mistakes. And so like the teacher told me, I spoke with the student, but then the student just keeps doing the same thing. And so like they really don't know how to have the student focus in class. And so examples like this show that like a common problem for elementary school kids and beyond is their social emotional skills. So for the kid who just wouldn't listen to the teacher's suggestion, like maybe the kid is not able to like really take instructions or like take suggestions from other people. And so like it's like from all of these like concerns that teachers have, I can tell that social emotional skills is really important and it actually matters for the kids in the long term. All right. And so, like, how do we guide SEL in private schools? And so, as previously mentioned, I've spoken to admissions officers from many top private schools. And then when I was talking to them, I asked all of the schools' admissions officers the same question. If two children have a conflict at school, how will the teachers handle it in your school? And so like it's very interesting because all of the schools gave me different answers, and the answers that they gave me show like greatly show how the schools teach and also the overall education environment and education method at the schools. And so now let's take a look at what their answers are. All right. And so for Nueva, I spoke to their admissions officer. And then when I asked him the question, the first thing they said back to me is, this is so common. And like this first sentence really hit me because this sentence, like it's their genuine response. He was like, this is so common. And then he went on with his answer. But then this first response from them really shows an affirmation to having conflicts in school. So like from this first sentence, I can tell that in Nueva teachers' eyes, kids having conflict is not a problem. And if you are like arguing with other kids, it doesn't mean that you are a bad child or a bad student, because it is a common thing for people to get into disagreements. But then like what matters is how we resolve conflict and in what manner do we continue our like friendship. And so like the admissions officer said usually in Nueva, the teachers would have the quarreling kids to think in the other kids' shoes. So like they would call the two people to the side and then ask the kids, why do you think the other kid said this, or why do you think the other kid did something? And by asking them these questions and hearing their answers, in the process, the two children will start to understand, hey, like where the other person is coming from. And this shows that in Nueva, teachers really value empathy, and they would try to use this empathetical way to resolve interpersonal conflicts. And then after the conflict is resolved between the two children, this is not the end to it. So like the school teachers will seek an opportunity to arrange group discussions to discuss solutions as a class group. And so like it will like the teachers will really take this case into as an opportunity to like educate other kids about like how to resolve similar disagreements. And so from Nueva's teacher's response, we can see that in Nueva, their conflict resolution method focuses a lot on empathy role play, so being able to think in other people's shoes, and also problem solving. So taking today's case as an example, and then having a group discussion on how to solve this problem. All right. And then a second school we talked to was Tessellations. So for Tessellations, we talked to their principal. And then, so in Tessellations, if two children have a conflict, the teacher will call for a group discussion. And so like all of the class will come together, and then all of the kids will discuss together why this conflict happened and how to resolve it. And in this group discussion, something that's like very unique to Tessellations is that the kids in the conflict, the two children who have a conflict, will be encouraged to lead the discussion. And so in the discussion, the two kids will have ample time to talk about why they did something, how they felt, and what they are thinking. And in this process, the other kids can also pitch in and talk about, hey, like I think it makes sense that you're feeling frustrated. And so when you're feeling frustrated, I think you can do A, B, and C. And so like by having this group discussion, Tessellations really give the kids a chance to think of a resolution by themselves on their own. And then like once the group discussion comes to a conclusion, and then all of the kids, including the children who have the conflict, agree to like the solutions that the group came up with, the teacher will always ask one question. Teacher will always ask the kids who had the conflict, will you be willing to be the little leader in like the future? If similar conflicts happen, will you lead the conflict solution in that circumstances? And so like this gives the kids a sense of like mission. Oops, sorry. And so this really gives the kids a sense of mission and commitment, because now they are made the little leader in similar conflicts in the future. And so from Tessellation's solution, we can see that there are three key highlights to Tessellation's way of dealing with kids' conflicts. So the first is reasoning. So in the group discussion, the kids will need to use their critical thinking and think about the reason why a conflict happened, and then logically think of a response to it. And there's also leadership and ownership. So with ownership, that is the group discussion, like the resolution ways came up from the students and not the teacher. So it's not that the teacher is telling the conflicting students, say, hey, I think you should stop fighting, I think you should think this way. And it's not the teacher to student instructions, but rather it is the students' own thoughts and ideas that the students agree with each other. And then there's also leadership and the sense of mission by making the kids in conflict the leader of that particular discussion, and also the leader of conflict resolution in the future. All right. And then for Stratford, the Stratford's admissions officer said that they would do a role reversal to invoke empathy in the two children. So they would ask the two children, "Hey, if you were the other person, how would you have responded to yourself?" And then there's also they also really highlight collaboration to solve problems and really focus on outcomes. And so that's what Stratford teachers really value is that the conflict is resolved between these two children. And then after the conflict is resolved, the teachers would really celebrate the result and encourage students say, "Hey, you did a very good job, although you had a disagreement, but then you successfully resolved between amongst yourselves and you are still very good friends." And so that is a very big achievement. And so they would really give positive encouragements to the kids who resolved conflicts. And so from this, we can see that Stratford also uses empathy role play as a solution, and they also really highlight direct encouragement to the kids. All right. And then last but not least, so for Hunter's admissions officer, they told me that they would provide enough space for the kids to resolve the issues on their own. And so the teacher would not intervene like actively when the kids have just started the conflict, but rather the teacher intervention would only happen if the kids really cannot solve the problem on their own. And so from this response, we can see that Hunter really values self-learning. So the kids need to resolve the conflict on their own and not with the teacher's help. And so this tests the children's ability to analyze the situation and also their ability of critical thinking. All right. And so after looking at all of these different resolutions to the kids' quarrels and the kids' conflicts at school, we can see that although the different schools have different resolution methods and different teaching ideas, but then there are also some common emphases. And so the first common emphasis is empathy. So like they always encourage students to think in the other person's shoes. And then there's also the similar steps to problems solving. So like first, the children need to identify the problems, identify where the issue is, and analyze the problem, and then in the end, think of solutions. And then also in top private schools, they really value self-discipline and independent thinking. So many schools will have the children think like at either the children who are in the conflict or the children in the conflict and and their classmates. And so like the teachers would really give the students enough space to think about how they themselves would solve this problem. All right. And so like having seen all of these like top private schools, like how they incorporate social emotional learning in their education methods and also their interview process and how like important social emotional skills are, like we started thinking, and this is our aspiration. So like it's very hard to get into top schools. Like the top private schools, their admissions rate like Hunter and New Eva, the admissions rate is roughly 3%. And it's even lower than the admissions rate of Harvard University. And so like it's very hard and very limited for kids to be able to get into these schools and have like a good social emotional learning environment. And so the reason why myself and also Judy and Zoe, like the reason why teachers at Think Academy started Play to Learn classes is because we want every kid to have better social emotional learning, and not just in top private schools. We want to take the social emotional learning out from top private schools and really like put it in Think Academy and really let all of our children be able to thrive in their social emotional skills. And so what we provide are a safe environment for students to engage with each other, a diverse community for them to like really separate differences and common characteristics, and then also a finely designed curriculum that really um, gives students a chance to communicate and with each other and build confidence in the process. All right, and so for a safe environment, so like in our classes, we encourage active communication amongst the kids. And so like as they are communicating with each other, they would become more aware of who I am and who other people are. And so like this helps raise their social awareness. And then we would also use the right methods and to like that is aligned with their relationship like developmental abilities. And for example, in this video we can see that like the kids, they are like, this is our greeting class, and you can see that here there's a doll that's coming out from the whiteboard, and then when the doll comes out, the kids will say hello, and then the animal's name. And then when it goes back in, the children will say bye bye and then the name of the animal. And so the reason why we chose this method instead of like maybe the teacher coming out from whiteboard and going back in is because like this is the correct method for kids learning. So like in the beginning of the class, maybe like if it's the teacher doing it, the kids might feel a little bit pressured because the teacher is like an authority, they're an adult and like an authoritative character in the classroom. And sometimes like in the beginning of a class when the kids don't know each other, they might also feel nervous if they have to say hello and bye-bye and practice with each other. But then practicing like with a doll would be like less nervous for them and then more natural, like they would not feel as pressured. And so like in the meantime, they would gradually like get the idea of greeting others as they see people coming in and then leaving a space. All right. And then there's also the diverse community. And so for diverse community, this includes our classroom and also our curriculum design. And so in our classroom, we have kids from like multiple different backgrounds and different cultures. And so like by interacting with other kids, it improves their self-awareness. And there's also like a diverse roles in our curriculum design. And so like maybe the first time they come, they would be a manager of a bakery. The second time they come, maybe they can try out the character of a doctor. And so by having different roles in our role play games, it can really help the kids understand responsible decision making. So the decisions you make as a manager would be different from the decisions you make as a doctor. All right. And then the last but not least, there's also the finely designed curriculum in our classes that gives the students a chance to improve like their literacy levels, their hands-on ability. There's also music in the classroom that can sing with and learn in the process, and also like their general number sense. And here you can see this is a self-introduction wheel that we've created along with our kids. And so like this, like the paper in the back we can turn. So like this is a self-introduction wheel that has like your name, favorite color, favorite fruit, favorite animal, and so on. And so like after the students make this, they can use this wheel and kind of like a very fun object and to turn it and also introduce themselves to their classmates. Yeah, and so our first series class is already out. It's gonna start next week from October 17th to October 27th, and the class will meet every Tuesday and Friday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. And so like this will be a 4-lesson long class that really teaches the kids on like understanding yourself, how to make decisions, how to say yes, how to refuse others and set boundaries, and also like in general like self-awareness and socialization skills. All right. And so we also have a few trial classes coming up. So on the 21st, the Saturday 21st, and also the Saturday of the 28th, like we have two trial classes coming up from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. And then this trial class will mainly focus on the content and concepts of our lesson 1 of our short-term class. And so like here we would have the kids learn about their likes and dislikes, what they want, what they don't want, understand the different likes and wants between myself and others, and also learn the general concept of keeping something and sharing with others. All right. And other than our classes and trial classes, also have a Halloween activity coming up. So it's gonna happen on October 21st. This is a Saturday, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So like Saturday evening. And we also have a Sunday morning time. So October 22nd from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. So it would be a 90-minute long activity, and then it would be like hands-on. So you would have kids make handicrafts, and that's related to Halloween. And then after we make it, we're gonna do a group like storytelling activity. So like all of the kids will get a chance to show other kids what they made, and also share with them why they colored this way and why they added this decoration over here, and just like have a very active like communication part in the activity. All right, and so like this activity is on Think Academy's Eventbrite page, and if you're interested, you can also scan the QR code to sign up for it. All right. And that would be the end of our webinar. And now any questions and answers? Let me take a look. All right, so I see a question. I see a question from a parent directly to me. So will you plan something for older kids like 6-year-old? Um, So yes, we are planning to have classes that target 5 to 6-year-olds. And so like for like 5 to 6-year-olds, our games will be designed with more role play aspects to it. So it will have better authenticity and also give them a chance of immersive experience. And then yeah, and so like this is in our plans. And so like when we have classes for 5 to 6-year-olds, I will make sure to notify parents in our group chat. All right. And are there any like any more questions? Um, oh, don't worry. So, if you're late, if you missed some parts of it, don't worry. We will have a recording for today's webinar. It should be available sometime uh over the weekend or next Monday. And so, yeah, like no worries. We will have a recording. Your kid is sensitive and is shy to talk to others. All right, so for a sensitive child who can be more shy when like in a group setting, like the play to learn environment will really fit her, because usually there's reasons for kids to be shy in an unfamiliar environment. So maybe the kid doesn't like to be in an unfamiliar place, or maybe a kid doesn't like too many people, or if maybe the kid would be a little bit intimidated if there's too many like adults or authorities around. And so like in our like in Play to Learn's environment, we would make sure that the teachers are always loving and caring to all of the children. We would always kneel down when we are speaking to a kid, so we're at the same level of height. And then there's also this like the kids environment, so they're interacting with other kids, and they're like having like a less pressure because like all of the kids are like the same. Like they're the kids community. Where can we access? Yes, we would share the recording on YouTube, and we would also post the YouTube link in our group chats. All right, and any more questions?